Hi, Nastasia. How you doing? I've got your work up here now. I think the cover looks really good. Much better. Looking really good. Um, I think that you've done an interesting thing here where you've taken this color that you're using and you've kind of laid it over the image itself. So you're preserving this consistency of this color blue. However, I am going to make a suggestion here that I think that may affect your decision of putting that color cast over this image and presenting it in just a regular, nice high contrast image. And there's two reasons. Number one, I think that this white in relationship to if this were a regular high contrast image, the color of the snow, I think it would just be really a dramatic relationship. And I think that would be very, very, very interesting. So, and then the other reason is I'm going to recommend you remove these blue boxes. I'll get to that in 1 second. But first of all, let's start with these spreads. Page numbers. Don't forget your page numbers. These pages, your first 4 pages of the presentation are identical. And I would like to see you mix it up a little bit to add a little visual excitement to the presentation. Because right now you have this page, you got headline text. That's great, that's consistent, but you're using this left sidebar here in the first 4 pages for your images. So I would like to see that mixed up a little bit. So for example, over here, you could have this image here, and then maybe put another image over here. Okay, and then over here, maybe, reconstruct this so that you're using your images in different portions of your grid. You can vary the size, you can vary the length and width of the images as well, just as long as these first four pages are extremely, extremely similar. And I think that by changing them would add a lot of visual excitement. Same thing here, same thing here. Again, you're using low resolution images. I mentioned that a couple of times, but you really want to check that because you do not want to use low resolution images in a final presentation. I think that's pretty intuitive. Okay, as far as your type and the relationships between your headlines and your body copy, I think it's good. If anything, I think the headline is a little bit too large in association with the size and scale of the typeface for the body copy. So you may want to reduce that size just a little bit. Okay, moving forward. Now, at this point in the presentation, you start talking about your visual concepts. So you're getting into phase 2, which is great. But the one thing, now once you add page numbers to your presentation, these little numbers here are going to be confusing because they look like page numbers and you could confuse the viewer. For that reason, I would say visual concept 1 right there, next to visual concept 2, and then visual concept 3, and then final logo. As far as the visual concepts themselves, I would take the blue box away from the background, present this type in the same presentation that you've used to start the same type styles you've used to start the presentation. Keep that consistent throughout the presentation. So in other words, you would have black type on a white background. Okay, and this is okay. I'm fine with the presentation here for the logos because I think the logos are consistent and you have the type consistent for each of the 4 pages for the logos, and that's fine because it's showing a relationship in your logo studies. So that's fine that these are consistent because the viewer will look to this area and this will create a harmony between the pages, these 4 pages that we're looking at the logo work itself. I would recommend, again, take the blue box away. And this area right here, the logos are really small. And usually a lot of students hear me saying, reduce the size of this and reduce the size of that. But in this particular case, I would say use a little of your real estate to really show the size of those logos. Since we are looking expressly at the logos in this page, so the logo is basically the center of attention of each of these pages. So let's go ahead and treat them accordingly. Same thing here and here. Final logo looks good. I do not see, you have your pictograms grouped in with your tickets, and I wouldn't do that. Some weird PDF thing going over there. I would take the pictograms and I would somehow work them in with your final logo. So in other words, you could go from, boy, I don't know how you're going to do this with your page orientations, but I think you have pictograms mixed in with your phase 3. And pictograms, as you remember, were part of phase 2. So we need to take this and somehow move it up and into this area here. I don't know how you're going to use it. I mean, you could possibly use a double spread on that because, pictograms are kind of neat. You've only got 3 of them. but not sure how you're going to do with that. You could feasibly fit them in with your final logo page itself, which would entail some recomposing on your part. But nonetheless, I think they're just out of place over here. The pictograms themselves, sure, they go on the ticket, but are they part of the ticket? No, they're part of phase 2 design development. Okay, then moving on to phase 3, Olympic promotion. What I would do with phase 3 is the same thing you did with phase 2 and phase 1. So in phase 1 is delineated from the other information because you've got all of the information located on the same spot within pages that hold phase 1 information. Moving to phase 2, you've moved the type, but it's consistent for all 4 pages of phase 2. So I would recommend we do the same thing for phase 3. So if this is where you want your headline to be for phase 3, keep it there on all of your pages. Okay, so then what that's going to do is it's going to create a rhythm and it's going to allow the viewer to understand that's where to look for the headline for each page. Right now, if you follow my cursor, the viewer is going like this. Okay, here's a headline for this. Then it jumps up. Here's the headline for this. Then on this page, it jumps all the way up here. Then on the next page, it's down over here and to the right. And then over here, it's back up to the top, but to the right. And then over here, it's at the bottom and the left. So I think to keep that phase 3 information consistent, let's go ahead and anchor that type and keep it consistent on each page. Okay, as far as your phase 3 materials go, I'd like to see more on phase 3, Nastasia. I really would. I think basically this is the same piece used 3 different times. And, you know, I don't want to sound discouraging, but, and the viewer's going to know that. The viewer's going to see this and say, okay, this is the same thing. We're seeing the same thing over and over again. So can we see some more graphics? Can we see somehow some of your fifth element and your, fifth element and your logo branding packaging and logo branding design and design development pieces in different areas? Now, I know we saw things like the tickets are so small. I'd like to see a page with just the tickets on themselves. Tickets right there, and show your tickets. Outdoor graphics. You know, can we get a few more? Like this could be a double spread. Outdoor. Sorry about that blinking. I don't know if you see that. It's a PDF thing going on. I'm not real sure why. I'm going to have to probably reload my Acrobat because it's been happening lately. It's kind of weird. But anyways, maybe a double spread here on some of your outdoor graphics. So we have this, maybe we have, you know, a shot of a ski slope showing those flags and banners, or maybe over here we have an ice rink showing the outside of the ice rink, you know, that barricade area around the ice rink with your graphics, and then maybe over here we have oh gosh, I don't know, Olympic Village banners, outside outdoor banners, things like that. And I really think phase 3 is a little underdeveloped. I definitely think that would culminate this presentation into something that would really leave the viewer going, wow. Right now, the viewer, you know, I think the viewer doesn't have enough, specifically since this page is, these 3 pieces are identical, basically, just recomposed. So, I mean, I definitely would like you to say to the viewer, you know, don't give the viewer too much where they get bored, but definitely give them enough so that they don't leave the presentation going, oh, I would have liked to have seen more. And I think that's the situation right now. I think the viewer is done with this presentation, get to this point going, oh, that's it? I wanted to see more. Okay, I hope that makes sense. This Fifth Element stuff is gorgeous. I mean, I would love to see more of that. I really would. I mean, you could use that on all sorts of the interior barricades of ice rinks and all sorts of stuff. So, all right, as far as that goes, those would be my recommendations moving forward. Sorry I took so long, but you know how I get kind of long-winded when I start to critique work. So, at any rate, if you have any questions, Nastasia, please let me know. I'll be glad to clarify. Or if you have issues or you need help or anything at all, you know I'm right here. All right, thank you very much.